Hello, everybody. Coach Steven here, your personal coach with 3 Pillar Coaching and 3pillarcoaching.com. Look, tonight's video, how to thrive in spite of our struggles, right? How to move forward, achieving the life that we envision for ourselves in spite of our stories that we've drug out of a past that is just flickers of memory in your mind into the now and then wrapped into our identity. How do we reframe those stories? How do we interrupt that thought loop, that narrative loop, with something empowering and constructive, and stop the bullshit? Because the stories that we've concocted for ourselves mostly are bullshit. Now, that doesn't mean that the abuse that you suffered as a child, or your marriage that ended, or the times when you were taken advantage of, lied to, duped, uh, disappointed, rejected, all these different things, doesn't mean those things didn't happen. It doesn't mean you made them up in your mind so you could hate yourself. But close. But close. So when you're a baby, when you're a child, when you're a toddler, when you're a 3-year-old, you don't have fears of rejection. You don't have fears of putting yourself out there. You don't have a shitty relationship with vulnerability. You don't have all these stories that you've wrapped into your identity. It just doesn't exist. We develop this stuff. We latch on to it. We soak it up into our dirty little sponge as we move through life. And then, as these things become more and more ingrained in our identity through our own creation, they start to activate your reticular activating system in your mind. It's an actual thing. There's a lot of science around this. And you start to actually look for examples in your environment of all this stuff. So if the story that you've created for yourself is that you're not smart, and you just kind of make that part of your identity, you will start to look for examples of this in your environment. Um, I'm not good at math. I'm not athletic. I'm not as good looking as other people. I'm not good at math. I'm an introvert. Um, I'm I'm not outgoing. I'm not a real like funny person or anything like that. I just kind of do my own thing, and those people that aren't those things are clearly exceptional, and that could just never be me because that's just not who I am, right? Um, well, that's a story that you've developed for yourself. It's a story that you created, and you have drug it out of along through your past with you. You've kept this shit with you, like like uh, like a shopping cart full of things that you've collected along the roadside or something, and you've carried it with you throughout your life and wrapped it into actually who you are. And when people ask you, what kind of person are you? You say, well, I'm kind of a procrastinator. First of all, I don't like that. You might be someone who puts things off, and I'll tell you why that is in a second. But you're not a procrastinator. You take a shower. I mean, when you introduce yourself to people, you don't tell people, "Hi, I'm Dave. I'm a showerer." I'd be like, what the fuck? You know, I'm a procrastinator, really. I'm a toothbrusher. Uh, I'm a I'm a weightlifter. I lift weights, so it's what I am. You know, I don't know how you describe that, but that is what we tend to do. We tend to latch on to stories and narratives that we've created for ourselves, wrap it into our identity. Then once we've done that, then we start to look for things in our environment that confirm the beliefs about ourselves. Once we've confirmed the beliefs about ourselves, then they become more and more entrenched. And on goes the narrative loop. Rinse and repeat, right? Um, so, how do we move on in spite of our struggles? Like I said, maybe you were abused. Maybe you were, you had a, say, well, Coach Steven, my mother was controlling and my stepfather was abusive. What if they weren't? Well, pretty sure they were. I didn't make that shit up. Well, but what if they weren't, though? Could you imagine a reality where those things weren't true, but they were? They actually happened. I mean, I actually have a scar right here where I was hit with the wrong end of a belt and it left a scar. So I'm pretty sure it happened. Well, but what if it didn't, though? What if the story that you wrapped around those events and chose to drag with you out of a past that is now just flickers of memory, which other people in the room might not see it the way you saw it then? You could talk to them now and they go, that's not quite the way I remember it. Huh. Well, maybe you didn't feel loved in the way that you thought you should have been loved. Maybe you didn't feel protected in the way that you thought you should have been protected. Maybe you didn't feel empowered by the people around you that were supposed to lift you up and protect you. And because of that disappointment and rejection, you wrap this story up in these awful events and locked it into part of who you are. Um, so here's how you'll get it. So I had a conversation with somebody today, and actually I was talking about this book. Today's book recommendation, Wise as Fuck, Gary John Bishop. I mentioned the title of the book to this person, and he said, "Well, that's not me. I'm not wise." And I was like, "Really? Huh? What if you are?" And he goes, "Well, obviously not. I quit school in the 8th grade, and even up to that point, wasn't getting any education, disabilities and whatever." And I was like, "Huh." But can you think back to times in your life when you've exhibited a lot of wisdom and even surprised yourself with the amount of wisdom that you were capable of? And it was like, yeah, I mean, I guess. I said, how many times have you taken something apart and put it back together, and there were other people around that were like, holy shit, I could never do that. I wouldn't even know what tool to grab to even get started, right? To them, you looked pretty fucking wise in that moment. So maybe there were times in your life when you were very wise. Can you think back to those times and how you felt in those moments? So yeah, and is that a better story to empower this moment into doing something that might surprise you than the I'm not wise narrative? Maybe I'm not wise in the way that other people are, but I'm wise in ways that a lot of other people would think was pretty wise. And he was like, yeah, okay. I I see that. So the point is that we take these stories and we wrap them into our identity. And these things um, and these things keep us from stepping into our power. These bullshit stories that we've created for ourselves. I'll talk more about creation in a minute. That we've created for ourselves keep us from stepping out of that place of comfort, stepping into that place of discomfort, because that's where our dreams are. That's where, and I don't like the word dreams either because it makes it seem not real. Things that you envision for yourself, the life that you know is out there waiting for you, is in that place of discomfort. It's in that place of unsafety. And your fears, your anxieties, your your stories of the past, all of the shit in your dirty little sponge that you've carried with you is keeping you from being the best version of yourself for you and for the people around you. You owe you that, don't you? You spend so much time doing for other people and empowering other people and making sure that other people are okay and everything. What about you? And when you're dialed, when your shit is dialed, you give everyone around you the best version of you. So if we are the creators of our universe, if we are the creators of the experience that we want in life, which you are, when you start to absolve all of the shit in your dirty little sponge that you've soaked up along your life and wrapped into your identity, when you stop giving all that stuff power over your responsibility of your experience of the world, things shift. The world opens up. Your lens that you see your world through changes. And you start to see your world as a place of opportunity and boundless possibilities. And this video is already getting too long, but I want to tell you something real quick, and it's actually something that I don't want you to know about me, but fucking I'm going to tell you anyway. There's two things. One, when I was in the Air Force in 1989, I was in an automobile accident that left me paralyzed. And when I was in the VA rehab hospital in Long Beach, California, I was a couple of months into my healing and rehab and everything. And this group of coaches and wheelchair athletes brought some equipment in, and they were demoing this equipment, and they did this motivational speech, and this is what you can do, and this is what you can work towards and everything. And this one particular coach kind of took me under his wing, and after everybody kind of left, he stayed behind and talked to me for like an hour. And this guy did more for me in that hour than the therapist I had been working with in the hospital for 2 months did. And if he's watching, no knock on you, dude. It was just, just what it was. This guy wasn't preaching. He wasn't teaching really. He was coaching. And I didn't really realize it at the time. But this guy helped me realize that I was the creator of my experience of the world. And I didn't have to let this thing be a rabid beast devouring me and ripping me to pieces for the rest of my life. I could choose. I could simply choose. Not easy, but simply choose to not see myself as disabled and damaged and broken, that I could see myself as powerful, empowered, and sky's the limit. I could do anything, right? I used to be able to do 10,000 things. Now I can only do 9,000 things. But instead of focusing on the 1,000 things I can't do anymore, focus on the 9,000 things I could do and create the possibility for more. And so that's what I did. That shifted my perspective in that moment. I did have some dark times after the injury, but I was able to quickly come out of them because I didn't give this demon a home in the dark recesses of my psyche and my heart. I didn't give it a home. I simply made the choice to see myself not in that way, but in a different way. I interrupted that story that I had in my mind and in my heart up to that point. I created a new story. And I've lived by that ever since. I've done things since my accident that I probably never would have done before. I became a competitive tennis player. I learned how to ski and got pretty good at that. I've done all kinds of things. I've ran and started businesses. I was a competitive weightlifter. My best bench press was 415 pounds. And over the years, because of the injury I had, and here's the thing I didn't want you to know about me, but I'm going to tell you anyway. I had a 15-year addiction to opiate pain medication, and I needed it. But it wasn't sustainable. And I knew that what started as dependence, just physical dependency, just needing it, to addiction, to knowing that it's screwing up, my body and what I wanted for myself, and letting it continue anyway. And finally, I said, no more, no more. And it was one of the hardest things I've ever done in my life. But over a 6 to 8 month period, I decided that I was going to, at all costs, wean myself off of this shit. And that's what I did. And it was like the deepest, darkest recess of hell you can possibly imagine. But that's what drove me. I created a story for myself that I wasn't going to see myself as diseased and damaged and broken because of this addiction. And people were like, you need to go to rehab, and you're going to have this disease for the rest of your life. And I was like, bull fucking shit. Nuh-uh, no way, Jack. That's not the story that I want to live by. I got myself off of it. One day I just kicked and I never looked back. I didn't see myself as diseased and damaged beyond that day. That was a new paradigm from that day forward. And I never looked back. That was years ago. So the power of narrative, the power of story can be incredibly damaging to you stepping into your power, to you living the life that you want to envision for yourself. So what stories have you created? I want you to think right now. What stories have you created for yourself, drugged through your past up to this point into the now, that have kept you from stepping into your power, kept you from achieving the things that you want to achieve for yourself and for other people? How is that serving you? How's it worked out for you? And I'm not being, cavalier or mean about that, but, well, yes, I kind of am. I kind of am. Seriously, think about it. How can you reframe those stories? How can you interrupt that narrative, that thought loop, into something empowering that isn't poisoning the now? I want to read you something real quick. Another book recommendation. Become What You Are, Alan Watts. This will melt your brain. Not even kidding. So eat your Wheaties before you read this. Meditate, clear your mind, go into it with an open heart and an open mind, and you will absorb the information. Promise. But it's very powerful stuff. But so to do this is to move in time with life, to be in perfect accord with its changing music, and this is called enlightenment. In short, it is to be detached from both past and future, and to live in the eternal now. For in truth, neither past nor future have any existence apart from this now. By themselves, they are illusions. Life exists only at this very moment, and in this moment it is infinite and eternal. For the present moment is infinitely small. Before we can measure it, it is gone, and yet it persists forever. Let that sink in for a minute. So our fears, our anxieties of the future, our pain and struggles that we drag in from the past are keeping you stuck in the now. Because through preservation, we keep ourselves, what's keeping you safe and comfortable is what's keeping you from stepping out of that place of safety, out of that place of comfort, into that place of vulnerability and discomfort. And that's where the thing is that you want. So this future version of you that's already living the life that you want, what are they doing in the now? What are they doing right now? What can you be doing right now to make the journey to achieving the life that you want more powerful right now? Stop the bullshit. So how do we thrive in spite of our struggles? Stop the bullshit. Create an empowering story for yourself. Reframe all of that shit in your dirty little sponge. And and the anxiety and the fears of some future moment that doesn't exist, it's in your imagination, start to melt away. Okay, this video went way longer than I wanted it to, but hopefully this was powerful information. If this landed for you, if something created some insight for you, if something made you go, let me know. Put it in the comments. Hit the like button, subscribe, because I will be posting more content to this channel. And hopefully something clicked for you, a question popped into your mind based on the things that we talked about tonight that will help you reframe the stories that have created your struggles. Reframe the pieces of stories and beliefs about yourself that you've wrapped into your identity that are keeping you from stepping out into that place of vulnerability. So, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video.